Solo, a Star Wars story. Let's talk about this one. In the run-up to Mandalorian and Grogu, I'm reviewing all of the live-action Star Wars content bar The Acolyte, because I just didn't want to start from there. It's not canon in my eyes. Cards will pop up along with this video so you can check out my other reviews for the Star Wars content. There's also a playlist in the description below. The Solo, a Star Wars story was released in 2018. Directed by Ron Howard. His films included Splash, Cocoon, Willow, and also 2001's A Beautiful Mind. Written by Jonathan and Lawrence Kasdan. The film stars Alden Ehrenreich as Han Solo, with Woody Harrelson, Emilia Clarke, Donald Glover, Thandie Newton, Phoebe Waller-Bridge, and Paul Bettany. Film tells the origin story of Han Solo and Chewbacca, who join a heist within the criminal underworld 10 years prior to the events of the first Star Wars movie.
Heard about a job. Big shot gangster putting together crew.
I'm a driver, and I'm a flyer. I waited a long time for a shot like this.
Phil Lord and Christopher Miller were meant to direct this movie. They got fired, and Ron Howard basically picked up the pieces. This film was $300 million to make because of all the reshoots and problems that they had. This movie went through development hell, and it's one of the most expensive movies ever made because of that. And it lost money. It's the first Star Wars film that's considered a flop. Say what you want about the sequels, but those films made money. This one didn't. Lastly, we also have to blame The Last Jedi. The fallout and the backlash from that movie made people just not go to this film. There was even a boycott Solo, which is incredibly weird to me. I actually think this movie is fun. Now, it's not the best Star Wars movie by any stretch, but even if this didn't have Star Wars slapped on it, I think it'll be a fun space adventure movie. This definitely feels like a 90s adventure action movie. When you look at the days of when we got like Godzilla, Jumanji, Small Soldiers, Starship Troopers, The Mummy, like this movie would fit nicely in that kind of time. It feels like it's way late, really. Like we should have had this a while back. It would have been great in the 90s to have this movie. Now, not everything lands here, but let's start at the beginning with the opening. It doesn't get a traditional Star Wars crawl, which I quite like. These Star Wars story movies, I was hoping we'd get a lot more of them. Unfortunately, due to this movie not doing too well, they just stopped the Star Wars storylines, which is annoying because Rogue One is my favorite Star Wars movie, and this film was so fun. You know, there was talk of like a Knights of Ren movie that was going to possibly happen along the line. We were possibly going to get a Lando movie, or like and a sequel to this one. I really want them to pick this up. I want Solo 2 to happen because I love this movie for what it is. And like I said, not everything works. There's a few things I have problems with in this film. Mainly, it has a very modern style humor to it that isn't really that Star Wars. Firstly, we get this moment where, to get out of the situation he's in, Han picks up a rock and pretends it's a thermal detonator. He does like a clicking thing with his mouth, and it just doesn't work. It was just a bit cheesy and kind of like a Marvel comedy to it, and it doesn't really work here for me. I love how gritty the movie looks though. It's got this real kind of, it's got that used, lived in feel to it, and it's really strange because it's really colourful at times and then really like washed out in others. They do a good job at the tone of the movie. Alden does a great Han Solo in this. I really do think that. He doesn't completely mimic Ford. He brings his own thing, but also really did his homework and acknowledges what came before it. The big problem in the movie is where he gets his last name from. They establish how he got the Solo name, and it doesn't work. They should have not done this. This was a bad idea. It's the worst part of the movie. It's not good.
What's your name, son?
Han.
What? Who are your people?
I don't have people. I'm alone.
Solo. No, 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 no. Wait, 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 wait. Wait, 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 wait.
I wish we got more of Han in the Empire, though, fighting battles, because we get to this part of the movie where he's amongst the battle zone and it's just absolute chaos around him, but it's short lived. We don't really get that all too much. And originally, this movie, the idea was he was going to join the Empire and it's going to be a war movie, but we didn't really have that. It's more of a heist movie. The film is about him getting together a crew and sort of just trying to find his place, and ultimately he wanted to get a ship and fly away with Kira. Woody Harrelson is an absolute gem in this movie. While I think it's unfair to say he carries the movie, he's certainly a standout. He's just an absolute great character in this. He's a great scoundrel character. He's literally like, trust no one, and he means that. At the beginning of the movie, all the other characters seem to make mistakes, and he's like, told you you shouldn't have trusted me. And it was kind of crazy because you go from the prequel trilogy with a lot of pretty bad acting and pretty bad dialogue to this movie that has good dialogue for the most part and really talented actors. Paul Bettany is a great villain, although he doesn't really do all that much. I kind of feel like he needed a little bit more screen time and a little bit more development to give us a reason to think why we think he's a villain. There's some underworld stuff in this. If you're a fan of Andor, it doesn't really go as deep as that and as dark as that, but there is certainly some darker stuff in the film. Donald Glover is another one here. Fantastic actor, fantastic performance as Lando. Really just works. Like, he is Lando in my eyes. Like, he did great in that role. We need to see him in his Lando project. Like, whether it's a movie or a series, I think I'd prefer a movie. Then we have L3, which is essentially the computer that gets uploaded to the Millennium Falcon that we have in the original trilogy. And it makes more sense of why they treat the Millennium Falcon like a character in the original trilogy, and then they call her or she. It's because of L3. L3 is Lando's droid. She's quite annoying in my honest opinion. There's this whole, equal rights, and like she's just all like, I don't know. There's a comedy there that doesn't work either, and I'm not massive on her character, to be honest. Also, worth noting here that Black Spire Outpost, which is Galaxy's Edge at Disney World, gets mentioned here. Of course they do. Gotta love Disney. Gotta get gotta get that mention, right? Also, never noticed the Needles Back to the Future reference in this film. One of the things they did right, and I think I kind of wish Ron Howard did more in the sequel series, because I feel like he got it. I feel like he knew George. He was friends with George. He was in American Graffiti. There's a lot of cockpit scenes with the characters, and when you watch the original trilogy, a lot of screen time is in that cockpit with our characters, and it's something we just didn't get in the sequels. Force Awakens we got occasionally, right? I think Force Awakens feels the most Star Wars of the sequels, but this is what we needed. We needed all our characters reacting to things happening around the ship, whether it's being chased by other ships or Star Destroyers or creatures attacking the ship. That's what made it Star Wars for me. Now, spoiler alert, the ending, we get Darth Maul.
One man couldn't have done this alone.
I wasn't there. But if I had been, perhaps I could have saved him.
Bring the ship and come to me on Dathomir.
Which would have worked if we got a sequel, but we didn't, which is really, really annoying. Now, if you watch the Maul TV series, you get a little bit more of an explanation. You get a little bit of Crimson Dawn in there, which, by the way, as a new faction, Crimson Dawn was just a breath of fresh air. Rather than it just being, hey, we're going to go steal stuff from the Empire. No, they actually added in a new faction, new characters, and I liked that. Like, we didn't need, after Rogue One, we didn't need another Empire heist movie. So I'm glad they went down that route. And there's so much room for other factions in Star Wars. I kind of want them to go down that path moving forward. New stories, but with familiar characters, is a cool thing. You get the Sabak scenes, which are really, really cool, where Solo at the end, wins the Falcon off of Lando, catches him cheating. We get multiple kind of heists in this. We get the train sequence towards the beginning of the movie where everything kind of goes wrong. And then we also get the mines and the Kessel Run. We get all of that, and we find out another thing I wasn't too happy with, but it kind of makes sense with his character. But the fact that the Kessel Run was a kind of cheated thing, and it wasn't technically done in that time, was a little bit weird to me. But it kind of goes with Solo's character as well, so I can't blame them. I really liked some of the Empire stuff at the beginning of the movie, though, like the checkpoints and the Empire sort of threat. Like, you feel like the Empire are there constantly threatening the mission. But especially some of the underworld stuff was cool. Like, the robot fighting was quite fun to see. Like, all these people like betting on the winner. These seedy bars and locations are really, really cool to see. And it doesn't feel like a polished Star Wars movie either. It feels gritty, and it gotta help what this movie was originally meant to be under Phil Lord and Christopher Miller. Clearly, I mean, they wanted to make more of a comedy, which would be alarm bells to me. I don't know if that would have worked. I mean, you can definitely see elements of what could have been a comedy here, and it wouldn't have worked, I don't think. The way they did it, what they got in the end was good. And like I said, I think it's really unfair that this movie is overshadowed by the problems from Last Jedi in the sequel trilogy. I feel like everyone I've spoken to that did go and see this film, and when you see people that have gone back to this film afterwards, they've all said that it was great. And I just think this is just a classic example of a weird age that we live in online. That back in the day, if this movie bombed, it's a catch-22, because back in the 90s, if this movie bombed, we wouldn't have got a sequel. But would we have had the discourse over Last Jedi to make it bomb? I don't think so. I think this film would have gone on to have more sequels if we didn't have that online discourse from the fan base. I can't sit there and say that The Last Jedi is the worst Star Wars movie, because it isn't. But that's for another time before we go down that rabbit hole, right? Solo for me is cinema worthy. It's just such a shame we didn't get more as a sequel or even a TV series. Hopefully, with Filoni in charge now, he'll see the vision that this movie had and where it was going. Hopefully we get more. I really hope so. The score and the music's good as well. It's not quite Star Wars enough. Like, don't go into this movie expecting a score like you have in Empire or even the prequels or anything like that. It's a very different score. More of a Western kind of score too. Also need to talk about Ethne's Nest. Kind of an underwhelming reveal. And like, we keep getting these Star Wars stories that have like these origins of the rebellion. Now, I understand there's different pockets that eventually all come together, but it gets quite convoluted. Having that between, you know, like the rebels and Saw Gerrera and Ethne's Nest and all of that stuff. Like, there's nothing to really tie it all together, and I'm hoping that they do something with that. But what do you guys think of Solo, A Star Wars Story? Let me know down in the comment section below your thoughts. And next, I will be reviewing Obi-Wan Kenobi, the TV series, the limited TV series that came out. And I will see you with the next one. Take care of yourselves.